All right. Thank you very much. My name is Odwar Jagero from CMS Africa, and we have been having lots of discussions about web technologies, specifically CMSs in Africa. You know, how they are used against, on many of the browsers that we are having, talking about Chrome, we're talking about Mozilla, we're talking about Safari, and we are always having discussions with developers that are using these CMSs. And that is why, we are running a CMS Africa, a project with Google called Developers for Africa. And today we are having a developer, Mr. Wangila, that we are going to be talking about his experience with web developing in Africa and where he is right now. So, Mr. Wangila, let's talk about you as a web developer. How did it start? Where did you start it?
First, thanks for having me. I think we've worked together for quite a while. Always good to be here.
Yeah.
So I started first playing around with technology at like age 7. At that time, I was just playing around with games, trying to figure out easier ways to finish the games, looking at the code behind it and trying to build in some pathways. But as I grew older and older, it wasn't until I cleared high school that I realized web design, web development is actually a viable thing.
Yeah.
Because remember back then, our internet presence was not as much as it is right now.
Yeah.
And it happened by accident. I was in campus in Strathmore and my old primary school needed a website. And I went to them. I'd just done a unit on HTML. I was like, I think I can do this. I spoke to the director. He was like, okay, I trust you. Go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even know why he needed a website, so I had to teach him what is a website, why you need a website. This is around 2008. Why you need a website, what it can bring for your school, and all that. And then I had to go back in the evenings, learn more about this whole web development thing, and then build it. But after 2 months, I actually delivered a website to him, and he was very happy.
So you bought the URL by yourself, you bought hosting?
Did everything.
Yeah.
I tried explaining to him what a domain, hosting, emails are. He was just, you go do what you need to do and then come bring me the final thing, and I will have it. I will start using it.
Yeah.
So locally, I think there was a company called Sasa Host back then, still in existence, I think.
Yeah,
it is. What you mean? Actually, it is. It's grown even bigger. I am sorry, Sasa Host.
What do you use for hosting, my friend?
I am sorry. I am so sorry. But they really, really helped me. Because also remember, it's the first time I'm doing this.
Yeah, I didn't know that Sasa Host is that old. Is that old?
It is that old. So they helped me set up the domain, one of their web developers talked me through how domains connect with hosting and the email and help.
Oh, really?
Set that up.
So it was such a cool learning process.
It was a cool learning process, and they were there to support and then deliver the website. And so, okay, this actually works.
Yeah.
Then I ignored that for a while, continued with studies, and then later on.
What were you doing?
So at the time, I was doing IT.
Yeah.
It was the courses you do between high school and going to campus.
Yeah.
So I was doing I was doing a diploma in IT as I was waiting for that 1 year gap to end to go start doing computer science at JCOT.
Okay.
Yeah. Now when that ended, then unfortunately personal reasons, health, I couldn't attend campus.
Okay.
So I was down for about 2 years as we were figuring that out. Then when I came back, I started weighing again between going back to campus and trying to think about a business. So with that, I started consulting on the side personally, just taking web design jobs for my clients here and there and doing that as I was going back to school actually. Then unfortunately again at the time, I've actually tried doing computer science 4 times.
Yeah.
All times I have to discontinue. I've had to discontinue because of health reasons. Lost a scholarship to the US, lost a scholarship locally, tried it at Strath, at JQuat, didn't work out. Now when that didn't work out, I was like, okay, let's stop flogging a dead horse.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, degrees will come back to them.
Yeah.
The business was now picking up, the freelancing business. I've gotten 1, 2, 3 clients, referrals here and there. And then also, it was the time iHub had just started setting up.
Yeah.
Zuku had taken root. So guys had started learning about the internet, smartphones had started coming in, the Idios. Do you
Yes.
remember the Idios? The very colorful, small
The
Android
Idios,
phones
yes.
Now that had just started making a buzz in Kenya, so people were understanding how to access things online, and you didn't have to teach so much to get to the product.
Yes.
And so that's how I discovered, okay, we are going from static websites, which are just websites that you build once and leave it there. If you need to change, you leave it there to rot. If you need to change anything, you need to come back and dig into the code.
Yeah.
And now moving on to corporates want websites with blogs and news pages that they can update. And that's where my CMS journey begins.
Yeah.
And then that's where we started building. Worked on that for a year or two, and then we got a big project. This project was called Zuka. Zuka was the magazine that used to be in Nation Media, I think over the weekend. It was like a youth magazine over the weekend.
Yeah, so cheap product kind of thing.
Yes.
Targeting a bit of...
like 18 to 20, teenagers to 25, thereabouts, So they wanted online presence. Whatever the magazine was, they saw people now have smartphones to do that. They wanted that presence online. So that project was quite huge. And that's where we met with now my friends, Houston Malande and David Kuria.
Yes.
And we were all freelancers at the time. So we said, let's work together on this. I like what you guys do, you like what I do, let's work together, we see how that goes.
Yeah.
Then we did Zuka, Zuka went well. And then we figured, okay, we've been having a ceiling. There's a ceiling you can't pass as a freelancer.
Yeah.
You can't pitch for jobs. Big companies, you need a limited company. You need these things called KRA pins.
Yes.
We are young 21-year-old guys who don't know any of these things.
Yeah.
So like, okay, let's set up an actual company. Let's structure it properly. And then now we can start going after actual RFPs, requests for proposals, and send in quotations and get approved and get the bigger projects. And that's how Skyline Design Limited was born in 2012. Yeah.
You have been, Houston Orlando, the first time we met at the CMS Africa Summit at, what is it called? The University of...
Strathmore.
Is it Strathmore?
Strathmore, yeah, I think it was Strathmore.
Yes, Strathmore actually. And he really ranted about what WordPress is and how good WordPress has been for him and things like that. So why did you guys choose WordPress to build on? Not Drupal, not Joomla, not Typo3, not, what's, because a lot of people at the time were calling it a blogging sort of framework. Yeah. Why did you guys choose WordPress?
The interesting thing is we chose it because of the blogging framework.
Oh yeah?
Remember, your users are always top of mind. When we build these websites that have a CMS attached to it, there's a training process, there's a learning curve for the customer, for the client to start supporting themselves.
Yes.
So we were trying to look for what do clients know.
Support is a big problem.
Support is a big problem. Remember, again, we are a 3-person team. It's just a designer, a front-end developer, and a back-end developer, and we're still running a business and doing all that. Yeah. So supporting clients, especially as we get more clients, is not scalable. So we look for the one thing that most people know about. In every organization we went, there was at least one person who had tried opening a WordPress blog.
Yeah.
And they could weave their way around it. Yeah. And the version of WordPress we use now, WordPress.org, is just hosted WordPress.com, but we get more leeway in customizing it.
Yes.
So just that alone is why it made 100% sense to go with WordPress over Joomla or Drupal or Typo3, because you'd mention those in a meeting with like 6 people, and no one would know what that is. But you mentioned WordPress, and everyone is, my nephew, my cousin, there's that intern, there's someone who's using it for their personal blog. Yeah.
Okay. And then we had another heated discussion again. This time around at Catholic University of Eastern Africa about the use of WordPress and the quality of web development in Africa. Yeah. Tell me about what you think, because at Skyline, In fact, Malande wrote a very, what is it called? An
opinion piece.
Yes. Yeah, talking about, and this is a problem in Africa that even when we were having DFA, Developers for Africa, the other day, there was that problem of using themes and templating.
Yes.
I remember there is a time one of my friends in Poland wanted web developers, and he realized that these guys can actually just work with themes.
Yeah.
No CSS, no going back end. If something breaks, they can fix it. They have to call support. And then when you go to Europe and America, even South Africa, I mean, South Africa has very deep tech, like very, very knowledgeable. In South Africa, you would put them side by side by Europeans, by Americans, and they would do just as good or even better.
Yeah.
But when we come to Africa, there is some kind of casualness to web design. There is some kind of nothing serious.
Yeah.
I have a theory that maybe, the way if you are taught how to ride a vehicle when you are a teenager, and when you know how to drive a vehicle when you're an adult, there are differences. The way you cut corners, the way you behave on the highway, there's a difference. I want to get it from you. What do you think is the reason why African developers, most of them at least, tend towards going the easier way? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me take you back a bit. So one of the reasons we founded Skyline, with our core objective, was to literally change the landscape of web design in Kenya and Africa, and make it such that you will look at a website done outside of Africa and look at a website that we've done, and you wouldn't be able to tell which is the Kenyan one.
Yeah.
Because back then, as you rightfully mentioned, the websites that were being built could barely be called websites in the great context of things.
Yeah.
It was, does it just do the absolute minimum to be called a website?
Yeah.
Design doesn't have to be solid, nothing has to be pixel perfect. As long as you can navigate through that, it's called a website.
Yeah.
But I think that problem, there's a number of things that bring up that problem.
Yeah.
So remember, Kenyan tech industry is very young.
Yeah.
Especially the web design Kenyan industry. If I would age it, I would say 15 years max.
Yeah.
Other countries, other continents, Europe, US, have been doing this for way longer. The other problem, again, is we are a traditional sort of country.
Yeah.
We were all brought up to be engineers and lawyers and doctors. So web design as a career did not take root. And even development in general, software engineering in general, did not take root until very recently when the startups started coming in. Because back then you'd go to someone and say, I'd like to make your website.
Yeah.
They've actually requested for a pitch.
Yeah.
And you will quote something like 10,000 shillings, which is $100.
Yeah.
And someone will actually chase you out of the office.
Yeah.
As that is too expensive.
That is too expensive.
Yeah.
But then let me take you back to the question of, a traditional Kenya. Would you say the same of Uganda, Rwanda, South Africa, Zambia, Malawi?
I'd say the same of most of Africa, simply because of that time gap in technology and influence as opposed to other continents. So that's why up until very recently, if you needed to get a good, high-paying, stable job, there were like 5 you needed to pick from.
Yeah.
And that's why the original career path is just keep going to school, getting good grades, then start as an intern, middle-level management, all the way. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Until right now, there's a 20-year-old somewhere sitting in his bedroom with a laptop in front of him and earning several thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah, on TikTok.
or engineering.
Yeah.
And it took like a year to learn, 3 years of practice, and then he got that job.
Yeah.
These are things that we used to hear from the likes of Google and Microsoft and how those were started, but we never thought were a thing here in Kenya.
Yeah.
And then now, if you tally the budget that you're being allocated, that is being allocated to web design at the time is very low. And the people also, the skill gap is quite high, then it becomes web design is a hobby.
Yeah.
It was something people did on the side. Now we were trying to mainstream it and show that this is actually something very respectable you can do. We even had a tough time convincing our families at the get-go, because they couldn't understand what is this thing you're doing that is not your typical structure that the older generation is used to. Yeah, I think that is where the problem is. Right now, time has made it such that there's a split. There's people who still do it casually, and honestly, I believe those people are ruining it for the rest.
Yeah.
And there's people who take it seriously. And a WordPress job you could easily quote $10,000 for WordPress job.
Yeah.
Or $100.
Yeah.
It's the value you bring. So there's someone who will just go download a theme, slap it onto WordPress and host it. Or you can go sit with the client, get their needs, start from scratch, pen and paper, bespoke design, code it through, make it responsive, and ship it. And the client will never know. So WordPress is not attributed, it's not WordPress's fault or any CMS's fault that this CMS is known for cheap websites, for blogs, it can't do much.
Yeah.
All these CMSs are very capable.
Yeah.
You should see what people are doing
It's
with...
people who socialize these CMSs.
Exactly. It's people who underutilize them, and then we blame the CMSs. The tools are solid.
Yeah.
It's the people working with the tools that tend to fail the tools. Yeah.
And so let's go back to the CMS community. You know, the WordPress, the Drupal, the Joomla, all these other guys.
Yes.
I spoke with a gentleman called I forget his name, but he's the founder of he's the one who did the Washington Post, the website. He actually made a CMS from scratch and developed the Washington Post website. And then he left and decided to start Rebel Mouse, you know, and it is buzzing. It's you know, and a lot of people at Google who develop Chrome like it because it's blazing fast.
Yes.
It costs 90%. All the way up. There's a problem though because it's very expensive. You can't afford it. I mean, somebody in Kenya would not pay $3,000 to buy that technology and use it on one website. You see, but then he talks about some great things that he believes that the CMSs, as we know them, the WordPress, the Joomlas, and the Typo 3s, they are behind technology. When you talk about social scheduling, email marketing, when you talk about instant articles, you know, WordPress came before Facebook, before Twitter, before all these things where people are. Yeah. And if you, for example, take a website that has been built on WordPress, not with the right technology, with the right coding, you put it on Facebook and you try, you know, doing instant articles, it will suffer. So, and that brings me to speed.
Yes.
The reason why, you know, websites need to load faster, blah, 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 everything has to work. You know, I read somewhere that Amazon, if the website is slower by 1 second, they lose $1.6 billion in a year. You see, so how do you think how do you guys make your websites faster? How do you make them load faster? How do you make sure that there is visual stability, the loading is proper? What do you do about it?
Okay. So I believe the philosophy around speed is it's not actually that difficult or technical. There is core principles for speed. Your website needs to be light on assets with optimized assets. These are images, videos, fonts, everything you need the website to load, optimize them for your users. Then only put what you need on the page. Don't load a page, so especially with CMSs, because there's lots of plugins and extensions. Don't load a page that needs one extension but you're loading 17, which is a huge problem. That's one of the biggest causes of the slow speeds here. And then,
but you see that's the problem. That's the problem, especially from the Rebel Mouse guy. He's saying that this CMSs, the likes of Joomla, the likes of Drupal, the likes of Typo 3s, they are not native. Like this, you cannot perform these things natively. You know, so sometimes it's like you must go radical and you know, take WordPress, take Joomla, and cut it into pieces, throw it away, build it from scratch.
Okay. So I think of it as the two can coexist. It's not a zero-sum game. There's someone who's looking for an all-in-one integration with everything built in, and you don't need to worry about anything, and they have the budget for it. On the flip side, if you do not have the budget for it, you make up for that with actual work and putting in the time. So WordPress can be as scalable as this other option. The same thing with Joomla and Drupal. It's just that because WordPress is built to address a market of over 70% of the web, that is very different use cases. For you to make it good for your use case, it means you have to know what you're working with, and know the limitations, know the advantages, know the disadvantages, like any other tool. You cannot buy a car, not maintain it, and expect it to serve you well. That is the same thing with our websites. So take the website, then you know how WordPress works, you know what it takes to bring in a plugin. So unfortunately, this is the part that most people don't understand. They go in as WordPress is that low-hanging fruit where I can just download a theme, put it there, and do what I want. But remember, that theme that theme is built for a very large target market.
And
but you are a tenth of that.
So you end up with this code that you're not using.
Yes,
sitting there.
Exactly. But if you understand the core principles of actually how CMSs work, which is exactly how every other custom-built CMS works, is you only build what you need, remove the fluff that you do not need. All that, when you tie that together, use the child thing. And the good thing again, all these things are there in the WordPress documentation. You don't need to go pay for a course. If you just read WordPress documentation, tomorrow you will come up with a fast website. It is as simple as that. It's just that disparity in why do I need to read this when I can just download and slap a theme on it. That's where now the CMSs get bad credit from. Because it's just most of the people using the CMSs, because of the low-hanging fruit of the budget, are not doing it at a level as professional as the people who are paying $3,000 for a license for a custom-built solution. But I think if we keep upskilling, there's nothing to prevent WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, Typo3 from being built. So already when we download WordPress and just install it, it is very fast. It will pass all the page speed tests and everything you want to do and get A's and 95% onwards. When you start adding things, that's the problem. That points to a user problem.
And not just adding them. How do you add?
How do you add? Because you are given something that was in tip-top condition. But then you just kept slapping things on it without knowing what you're doing, and then without having a strategy to how you're doing it. And now that's how the speed scores and the loading times keep increasing. But if you take WordPress and keep following the rules that are built around it, everything has rules. No matter what CMS you get, no matter what system you build, there's rules on how to use it. Keep doing that, and no matter how big that website is, you will have a very fast website. There's lots of huge news outlets that use WordPress. And they do 1 million views a day.
And you click it and
it loads. Yet you will find that corporate website with 5 pages and a blog takes 7, 10, 15 seconds to load. So it's not a CMS problem. It's a skill gap problem. And now that is easily addressable. It would have been difficult if the fundamental problem was in the CMSs. But yes, there's still some things that can be done to bring the CMSs to the current day and age, because technology is always evolving. There's things you can install on your server, your Apache server, your Nginx server, to improve the speeds. There's so much that can be done right now. There's libraries here and there, everything to improve the loading speed. So all these toys and tools keep increasing. So there's no reason in this day and age to have a slow website.
Okay, great. When we're finishing, let's talk about the community. You are in WordPress.
Yes.
What is the community like? Do you guys meet? Do you have a meetup where you guys meet? Is it not? It's non-existent, is it not? In Kenya. When is the last time you? When is the last time, brother?
It has been a while. I think. Okay, I'll use COVID as an excuse, but COVID just 2 years. But I think it's been like 4 years since I went to a meetup.
But what do you think? What do you think is that a good thing?
it is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Meetups are brilliant
Yeah.
because, again, meetups are some of the best ways to transfer knowledge and gain knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you get a bunch of 50 people in a room who've worked on things at different stages of their development journey, and you learn from every which way.
Yeah.
It's just that someone needs to take ownership, and I believe as pioneers in this thing, we have done a bad job.
Yeah, you remember you guys and you and Malandi were very serious about it. In fact, we started something at iHub.
Yes, I remember we used to do the I have meetups. We used to have a thing every Friday where you could.
What are the challenges? What are the challenges of having?
I think it just comes down to time, because you also need to do the actual client work, and then also budget, institutional support.
I remember we were not able to afford iHub.
Yes, exactly. So if you need a venue that supports 50 and you do not have an office that can take 50, then you need to pay for that venue.
Yeah.
Then that if that cost can't be shouldered by someone, then the meetups start dying out. But institutional support is where now that comes and plays a major role. And it doesn't have, it's not charity.
Yeah.
Because remember, institutional support can come in to help upskill the developer community, which then gives a larger pool for the institution to hire from, gain resources from, build their tools with. So it's a flywheel that can keep running itself if it's done properly.
All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Angela. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and so thank you for watching. The CMS discussion takes us to Developers for Africa, a project that CMS Africa is running with Google currently, and we are inviting all developers in Africa to be involved, join the conversation, and we are going to be doing an event, a virtual event in Nigeria and South Africa. Check out the event at dfa.cmsafrica.org. Again, dfa.cmsafrica.org. And then you can join the event. Google has a fund that if you have a brilliant idea, then that brilliant idea that can help develop a solution for any of the CMSs of your choosing, then it can be funded. So until next time, again, another interview. Thank you for now.
Thank you, good.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. It was nice, man.